It's flashing for you now. All right. So yes, what you're saying is correct. That we we often lose confidence that we can do it or that we'll get any value out of it. But we have to keep practicing it. And the example would be that somebody hears beautiful music, they want to play it, and they sit down at the piano and they try to play it, and it doesn't sound like music at all. Most people will get up and quit right then. But some people, especially if mom is good, she'll start giving you piano lessons, and now the teacher is listening to you. And someday, pretty soon, it begins to sound like music to mom. It may sound like music to the teacher, but it doesn't sound like music to you because you hear all the mistakes. And if you keep practicing, then other people in town will hear it as music, but you still don't hear it as music because you're making mistakes. It takes a while for you to begin to trust that what you're doing is music. And actually, the best place to learn how to trust is from someone who's really trustworthy. An example is that very few kids in the West trust their parents, mostly because their parents are not trustworthy. Now, in Thailand, that's not necessarily the case, that most of the Thai kids actually trust their parents.
Hmm.
But in the West, kids don't trust their parents. If they don't trust their parents, then who are they ever going to learn to trust? Well, that's where the old abbot of the Wat comes in, because you can trust him. That's in fact, I could say, is that all the spiritual work that I did for all of those years, I didn't have a teacher. I lived with Goenka for almost 3 years. I recognize now, didn't trust him. But what I did was, when I got to Achan Po, I felt easily that I could trust him. And so I learned to trust him. And then within a few years, I learned to trust myself. And now I trust everything. Even the things that are really easy to not trust, I can still trust them anyway. I know how. Okay. So that's basically what your music is learning how to trust yourself by practicing trusting yourself. Trust that you can change the unwholesome thoughts into wholesome thoughts. Trust that you can get the body to relax. Trust that you can, in fact, feel safe, secure, and comfortable. If you can get the body to be safe, secure, and comfortable, then you can trust that the feelings can become safe, secure, and trustable also. So we talk ourselves in to feeling safe, secure, and comfortable, and the body is already, in reality, safe, secure, and comfortable. And eventually, like soon, we can begin to feel safe, secure, and comfortable. And when we feel safe, secure, and comfortable, the next thing you know, we begin to also feel satisfied that this is good enough, that this is enough already. In Thai language, po lao. Po means enough. So can you get into the position where your life is good enough? You've got enough. You got enough joy, you got enough happiness, you got enough relaxation, you can be satisfied. Well, you've been practicing being dissatisfied your whole life. You've been practicing being doubtful your whole life. Now we have to start practicing to feel safe and secure, to start practicing that we can trust that we're getting benefit out of feeling safe and secure. And then satisfaction will grow. Now, that's an interesting point because anyone who's practicing can do that the first time if they will do it. But this is what we're practicing in the early part of the practice, is to practice to feel safe and secure. Because feeling safe and secure is all we need in order to feel satisfied. And guess what? Satisfaction is sukha, the exact opposite of dukkha, dissatisfaction. It has to be practiced, just like music has to be practiced, because you're so good at noise, music has to be practiced. Just like we are so used to being dissatisfied, so we have to practice being satisfied. And the first time we try to practice being satisfied, we're going to be dissatisfied with our satisfaction. We're going to say, I talked to myself, and I told myself everything is okay, everything is fine, everything is hunky dory, that there's no place to go and nothing to do, but I don't feel that way, so I'm going to quit practicing meditation. But if you keep practicing, telling yourself that everything is okay, everything is fine, you keep telling yourself no place to go and nothing to do, and pretty soon the feelings will begin to catch up. So you begin to feel safe and to feel secure and to feel comfortable. Then you begin to feel satisfied. Now, when you practice being satisfied over and over and over and over again, guess what happens? We begin to get confidence that we can feel satisfied. That for the first 30 or 40 times, it's always like a one time shot. I don't really trust that I can be satisfied. But if you keep practicing being satisfied one time after another, you begin to gain the confidence that you can be satisfied. I know. So that no matter how obstructed, no matter what comes into the mind, no matter what doubts, worries, flurries, or anything like that, you trust that you can throw that stuff out and come into the winner's attitude. This is the confidence. This is what the Eightfold Noble Path is all about. The Buddha talks about it this way, that sati and investigation come first. You have to remember to look, and when you do look and see your dissatisfaction, then you can begin to change that. You can talk yourself into being satisfied. And then later you begin to feel satisfied. But that feeling of satisfaction is a change. So sati and right effort, or excuse me, right effort and right investigation, those three things run and circle around each other as skills. They help develop each other. So the more often you look, the more often you can remember to look. The more often you look, the more often you can see correctly. The more often you look and see correctly, the more opportunity you have to change from being dissatisfied into being satisfied. And those three things run and circle around each other. And then we add that fourth one. What is that? That's the wow, I can do this. The confidence will build also. And now, so we've got all four of them running around each other so that you can remember often, you can investigate often, you can change often, and you can congratulate yourself for the change. You know you can do it. So remember to look, to change, and to congratulate yourself for the change. Those are the four items on the Eightfold Noble Path. And when we do those things, the mind becomes integrated, it becomes unified, it becomes whole, it becomes a samadhi mind. This is what they mean by right noble samadhi. Does not mean concentration, it means confidence. I don't hear you. Your microphone is not muted.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah, this would have been a good idea from the start. So for like the past 2 weeks, for the first week, I was flying because I was doing it because I was sitting down. I was doing it in like multiple 5-minute stints in a day rather than setting aside like a half hour and trying to get it all done in the one shot. Because as I understand, you're trying to build a habit of kind of regularly checking in with yourself and seeing what you're doing and making the change there. So it makes sense to do it as often as possible, even if it's shorter, rather than like an hour long. Because I've heard you say, if you spend an hour doing it, well, then there's another 23 hours in a day that you're not doing it. So it's better to do it like consistently. So that's what I was doing, and I was getting a lot out of it because I was sitting down, breathing, feeling a bit satisfied, and catching the thoughts, and smiling and laughing at them, and then feeling more confident. And I was thinking, oh, sure, like what? I was kind of, I think I was hesitant to get back into it after several months because I thought, I've lost all the progress that I had made previously. But as soon as I sat back down to it,
That's
I
it right there.
yeah,
And that was an unwholesome thought. Oh, I've lost it.
yeah.
And the
But
doubt comes up. The
it's
insecurity comes up. But if you could see that, then you can say, wait a minute, I haven't lost it. I could do it again.
yeah, and that's what was happening for me. Is I was thinking, oh, I haven't lost it. I'm feeling fine now. I'm doing the thing I was doing back then. It's working just as well. So I haven't lost anything. It was kind of like
Haven't lost.
it was like getting back on a bike. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I didn't forget how to cycle the bike. It's fine. Um, and then in the past week, I'm not sure how to actually articulate it, but it just it hasn't been working for me in quite the same way, and I don't know why, because I feel like I'm doing the same steps, but I'm just not getting. Well, I'm not getting the same satisfaction, and then when I look at that and think, oh well, you're. So what if you're not getting the same satisfaction? You're expecting it to be more than what it is. So
Yeah,
I'm
you're
trying to
expecting
notice
it to
that.
be easy. Once we do it one time, we think it's
Yeah.
going to be easy. Sort of like threading the needle,
Mm.
right? That one time you finally get that needle threaded, and so we say, "Oh, I could do it now," and then we try it again, and no, we can't do it.
Mm.
But the first time we said, "Yes, I can do this," and so we spent the time and effort and whatever, and then we got it done. But the next time we do it, we expect it to be easier now, and it's not going to be easier now. It's going to take the same amount of effort. But eventually, and I've seen this. I have seen a seamstress who can thread a needle without even looking at it. She could do it all with her fingers,
Mm.
and she can thread a needle fairly easily.
Mm.
One of the important things is that you've got to get the thread twisted tightly without having a little straggler come out.
Mm.
And so you've got it cut and twisted so that it's as small as possible without having it too small so that it'll put. This old lady, she could do that. She could twist that thing, she'd suck it, she'd bite it, do it right. But that took practice, a lot of practice.
Well, I suppose on that point is that you're saying, oh, like I'm expecting it to be easy. I don't feel that I am expecting it to be easy. I feel like I'm putting in the same amount of effort, but not getting the same result, and I don't know what to do with that because I
You
don't
can
think.
say, aha, I see that. Okay, this is exactly what you do. You can see that you have the thought of, it's not as easy as I want it to be. And see what you did right then. That was it.
It's yeah, it's a funny one.
So when we can become amused at our disappointment, you're halfway there.
Yeah.
But in fact, that's the whole thing: is turn your disappointments into amusement about being disappointed.
Mm.
Aha! Look at me. I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, but I want. Yeah, it's kind of when you talk about building confidence, though, it's a strange one because you were talking about music there at the start, and I play saxophone, um, or at least I used to. I'm trying to get back into it now, and it's a kind of thing, I know what it is to practice it, and if I was practicing something like a scale or whatever like that, and my fingers are tripping up the first couple of times, but I was getting better at it, I'd be getting more confident. But
Hmm.
then if like a week after I suddenly picked it up and I was worse at that whatever I'm trying to practice, like a scale, I couldn't play the sounds, couldn't produce the notes at all, then
Guess what?
it's a knock to
Guess
the
what?
confidence.
We are not sure whether the second time a week later that you were playing the saxophone that it wasn't as good as the first time. What we do know is that that was an attitude. The first time you did it, it was the attitude, I can do this. And then later, the attitude of, this is not working, is a pile of crap. And it could have been the same sounds coming out of the saxophone. And the first time you liked it, and the second time you didn't, because you expected the second time to be as good as the first time. For in fact, what really changed was not the saxophone or the notes coming out of it, it was your attitude. And so that's what we're cultivating here. We're cultivating having a good attitude,
Hmm.
the attitude of a winner, the attitude of, I can do this. Because you've been spending since your early childhood the attitude of, I can't do this, I need help, I'm not good enough. But
Hmm.
because our society expects us to be good enough, when we're not good enough, we hide our mistakes. We hide our wrongdoing. We hide things. And because we're hiding them, we can't see them very well because they're hidden. And because they can't be seen, we can't do anything about it. We can't change them. But if you accept your mistakes and that they're okay, then you can inspect them, you can see them easily, and then you can change them. But it's our basic attitude of, oh no, that's wrong, oh no, that's bad, oh no, I'm not good enough. And we can change that attitude into, it's good enough now, let me keep practicing and it'll get better. And so it's an attitude change. Right from the very beginning, we have to be able to change that attitude. If we didn't have it even a little bit, then nobody would practice doing anything. Oh, I can't play the piano, therefore I won't.
Hmm.
Oh, I can't practice meditation, therefore I won't. This is why the Buddha always said, and it's a standard point, is that right view comes first. And what is your view? The view is, yeah, I can do it.
Isn't that thought though? If I practice, oh, I'll get better. Isn't that like an unwholesome thought though? Because that's kind of taking
No, because you're satisfied with where you are now. This is progress. I'm getting there.
right.
You know, the Chinese philosophers, they say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You got to trust that you could do that 1,000 miles, or you'll never take the first step.
Hmm.
But guess what? After you've taken that first step, you have to have the confidence now to take another first step. Every step is a first step from where you are. Yeah, you made a step. Now you're 3 feet closer. But 1,000 miles, what's the difference on 3 feet?
Hmm.
What's changing is the attitude. And so you take a few steps and then you say, wait a minute, I'm not getting anywhere towards this 1,000 miles. Oh, poor me. And then we go back into the victimhood place. Guess what? We don't make another step. So long as we have an attitude that we're moving forward and we're satisfied with our progress, then we can make another step. So become satisfied with where you are now, and your satisfaction will grow and grow and grow. We had to practice being satisfied. We had to practice talk ourselves into being satisfied. Easy example. The guy wants to play the piano. He buys books on early beginners piano practice. He gets a teacher. He goes to his first lesson. And when he comes home, he plays football for a week. He doesn't practice the piano. All right? Same way with satisfaction. If you are practicing dissatisfaction, how are you going to perform satisfaction? Oh no, you got to practice being satisfied. You got to practice this is good enough. You got to practice being safe and secure and comfortable to let that satisfaction grow. So playing football is not practicing the piano. How can you play football all week and expect your piano practice to grow? Oh no, you got to actually practice being satisfied. This is good enough. No place to go, nothing to do. Everything's going to be all right. Everything is fine. No worries, no problems. Anything that had to be done has already been done. And so you keep talking to yourself like that and begin to get that satisfaction to grow. And pretty soon you get to the point of, I can do this. I can be satisfied.
Hmm.
And that's where the confidence comes in. This is all part of the Eightfold Noble Path of the Buddha. It's just not explained very well.
Okay.
So you have to remember to look at what you're doing and make a change. Look at me, I've got a football in my hand and I want to play the piano. Let me put the football down, make a change, and go to the keyboard. We have to take the right effort to come
Hmm.
to that keyboard and start playing the music of this is good enough. So when you catch yourself being dissatisfied, you can say, aha, I see that dissatisfaction. Wow, I'm sure glad I caught that. But most of the Westerners will see their dissatisfaction and say, damn it, I see you're not satisfied. You're a terrible person.
Hmm.
Well, you see, that's not going to help in satisfaction by being more dissatisfied. You see a little dissatisfaction, you make it into a big dissatisfaction. That's the normal way that we're trained in the West. So we have to make a change to that and say, oh, I'm not satisfied. Never mind, start again. Aha, I see you dissatisfaction, and I'm going to change you into satisfaction. Just a little satisfaction, but let's practice a little bit of satisfaction.
Hmm.
Sort of like Johnny One Note. All it takes on the piano is to play that first note. So let's play that first note of satisfaction. This is good enough. I heard that out breath. Good.
One thing I kind of, and I'm trying to avoid using the word struggle.
Yeah, don't use the word. It's not a struggle.
One thing I notice, maybe that's
Hmm.
the right word
Yeah,
to use.
noticing is not struggling.
One thing I'm noticing is my intention to kind of uh, practice for 5 minutes multiple times a day, and sometimes it can be tricky with work because I'm doing something that needs my attention. I don't have the
Yeah,
five
but the
minutes.
whole reason you're at work is because you're dissatisfied. That's what work is all about. We call it work. We call it a job.
Mm,
An easier way to talk about it is oh, it's employment.
mm,
But we don't call it employment. We call it work.
mm,
Work. It's a job. We
mm,
don't. We're supposed to not like it.
mm. So, what do you do in those circumstances?
Recognize it. See that.
Yeah.
Remember to look at the dissatisfaction and make a change.
Okay.
What do we do about it? What do you think we're going to do about it? We're going to
I know.
practice the Eightfold Noble Path. That's what we're going to do. We're going to come out of that dissatisfaction and practice being satisfied.
Right, right, right.
The Buddha only taught one thing, dukkha, dukkha nirodha. This is what we're talking about right here. Is that when you see that dissatisfaction right now, change it into being satisfied.
Right, right, right.
You got to wake up and take a look and make a change.
Mm,
To wake up to the unwholesome thoughts. I can't do this. This is hard.
mm,
Say, aha, I saw you hard. Mr. Hard, come back. Let's change that Mr. Hard into never mind. Mr.
mm,
Nevermind. It's okay.
mm.
I'm up to hard. I can handle hard. In fact, it's not hard at all. We call it hard because we're dissatisfied with it.
So, do you think that, like, 'cause I have a little meditation timer, that I set off, like for 5 minutes or whatever. Do you think that can be act as more of like a hindrance more than anything? If I have this kind of thing, oh, well, I need to take 5 minutes to practice this, um, so I can get better at it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is it better just to kind of forego that whole thing altogether and just
Well,
do it for a
I
stint?
wouldn't say forgo it altogether, just make a kind of a tweak to it in the sense that the 5 minutes is not wall clock time. 5 minutes is the feeling time. And how do I feel? I feel like it's been 5 minutes. I feel good now. I feel successful in my 5 minutes.
Right. So do it until you feel satisfied, and then continue
Yeah,
about your
you do.
business.
You just sit down and you work and you play and you enjoy and you get yourself satisfied. And then you can get up and go do anything you want to do, maintaining that satisfaction. And later you recognize, hey, I ain't satisfied anymore. Let me sit down and spend a few minutes and everything's okay now. Everything is all right. Not a worry in the world. Things are good enough. And when things are good enough, then you get up and go do what you were going to do that you used to call a job that you
Mm,
would do and be dissatisfied while you were doing it and be dissatisfied with the results.
mm. Okay.
Okay. It's that easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Connor, don't be a stranger. Call back. You got to get the
Um,
confidence. You can see the confidence that I've got.
hmm.
Believe me, it was not easy. Took a long time to get easy. I had to
Right.
work at being easy before I figured out that I don't have to work at being easy. I can do easy, easy.
Do you find that that's do you know of many people who've gone down this route and have found the easy from the outset?
I would say on average it takes about 20 years.
All right.
And the reason for that is because that's what the Buddha saw. This is why someone does not become the abbot of a monastery until he's been a monk for about 20 years.
Mm.
But by the 20 years, you're finished with all of your crap, and now you can spend your time helping other people out of their crap.
Doesn't the 20 years kind of contradict the notion that it's easy?
Actually, no. Because if you could remember over and over again every minute, then it would be easy. It's the fact that we spend 20 years forgetting that it's easy and call it hard. But eventually it sinks in to everybody.
Right. Okay. So it's a memory problem more than anything else.
It's a memory problem, right? That's why sati is so important to the Buddhist teaching. You got to
Right.
remember. You got to remember that everything's okay. You got to remember that you can do it. You got to remember that you could put in the right effort
Hmm.
to come out of your victimhood and be the winner. And the more often you practice correctly, the faster it'll happen. But
Hmm.
like I said, even for the slow learners, 20 years is enough
Hmm.
if you're practicing occasionally correctly. Now, in the West, we can have people that I've seen one guy on Reddit says that he has been meditating for 50 years and nobody can teach him anything
Mm-hmm.
except that he's miserable. So, whatever he was doing for 50 years, it didn't work.
Mm. You'd think after the first 5 years of being miserable, he might have he
Hmm.
might change tact.
But if you're practicing correctly, right here, right now, you can come out of your dissatisfaction, become satisfied right now.
Hmm.
The question is how long are you going to take you to remember to do that again? And how long does it take to do that again? This is why the Buddha talks about anapanasati, because actually, every long breath you take, you have to remember to take a long, deep breath. You're practicing sati. That's why it's called anapanasati, is to remember to take a long breath. Because now you're training not in long breathing, you're training in remembering long breathing. And that memory then will help you to remember to take it easy. Remember to relax the body. Remember to relax the mind. Remember that you don't have to be uptight. But you've been practicing being uptight for all of these years, and you're still practicing being uptight when you're not remembering to be relaxed.
Hmm. I
So
had
you have to keep practicing. The more often you practice, the quicker it'll be.
hmm.
But when I say practice, I'm not talking about sitting in formal meditation. I'm talking about to keep remembering right now I can be okay.
Hmm. So you can do it anywhere where it occurs to you, where you
You
remember.
can, whenever you remember.
Hmm. Hmm.
So formal practice is not all of that what it's wrapped up to be.
And so this idea I've heard you mention that the Buddha recommends. I think you talked about in the context of people going on retreats and stuff, and he's saying the Buddha doesn't recommend that. Buddha says find a place of seclusion, like the foot of a tree, or
right.
yeah,
Go out in seclusion. Go to a forest or a base of a tree or an empty hut. Not a meditation hall full of people, but an empty hut. Get in seclusion. Get yourself alone. Why? Because when you're around a crowd, the crowd doesn't trust each other. The crowd is not a trustable place. So people who go into a meditation hall, they pick up the vibe of, this is a lot of work. And everybody has the idea of, oh, I got to do it right because everybody's looking at me and they don't trust. But when you're out on your own, now you can just relax. And say, this is good enough. I'm not having to follow anybody's rules or do what I'm supposed to do. That I'm actually practicing correctly because I'm practicing being satisfied with the way things are right now.
I've been I work from home most days, but I have to go into the office like 1 or 2 days a week. And what I've been doing is, whenever I get the notion, I'll go to the toilet and sit, and sit in there for a while.
Yeah, so you can practice, you can remember, everything's okay. So you've got a tight deadline and you've got to get that document or that piece of code or whatever it is you're working on, you've got to get it done by Friday. And the answer to that is, yeah, we'll get it done by Friday. And while we're doing it, we can say, oh, no, I've got to get it done by Friday. Oh, we'll get it done by Friday. There's no problem. No worries. Give yourself the confidence that you can do it. Then when you do it, now the confidence will really grow because you can prove to yourself that you can do it. But in the beginning, we have to have the confidence that we can do it, or you'll never start. You can do it. Just remember, you can do it. Just remember, I can look at what's going on. I can see my dissatisfactions. Make a change.
Yeah.
So whenever you catch yourself being dissatisfied, you can say, hot dog, I caught that. I am so pleased that I can catch my dissatisfaction. In other words, I can practice being satisfied, seeing my dissatisfaction. Rather than wallowing in dissatisfaction, I can come right out of it. Aha, I see that dissatisfaction.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
All right, well, why don't we leave this here and you go practice that.
Yeah.
5 minutes now, 5 minutes an hour from now, 5 minutes another hour from now, and just take that. I can remember, I can do this.
And be less rigid and formal about it. Yeah, I can do that.
Excellent.
No bother.
Conor, it's so good to see you again. It's been such a while.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Don't be such a stranger. Call me again soon.
I will do.
All righty.
Okay.
We'll go have fun.
You too. Cheers.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.